Hi, my name is Lotfi, and today I would like to share with you what comes up spontaneously. I have a few ideas floating, but I already almost never script any of my videos. We cannot plan everything, we cannot structure everything. Instead, we need to go with the flow. And there are already so many things that come up when I say the word flow. So I guess that's where we're going to start today. What does flow mean? How do you go with the flow? For real. And why to do that? What are the benefits? And maybe also what are the obstacles you'll encounter when you go against the flow of life. Like, subscribe, and share. We hear a lot, people say you need to be in the flow. Or I'm in the flow now. And what you see is that often when people say this, and you can sense that they're genuine about it, you see some joy, you see some relief, you see some lightness, at least more than the usual. And they can still be going through tough times, but if there's flow, then it's easier, it's smoother. It's just like going upstream on a river, or when you're swimming in the sea and there's the flow of water, the stream going a certain direction, and you're trying to go against it. Sometimes it can be really difficult. And in life, when we act from the mind, which is generally calculating based on previous experiences, so making predictions based on the past. But if the past 2 years have taught us anything at all, it is that everything is changing, and rapidly. So basing your decisions solely on the past is idiotic. It's asking for trouble. It's almost a guarantee of trouble, of running into issues. I do not say to fully discard the past, but what we can do instead, because we already have the knowledge in our minds, but to be in the here and now, to be conscious of what we feel in our bodies, up here or lower in the belly, or maybe other parts of your body. And you may remember now that before something good or bad happening, or during, you feel somewhere in your body a certain sensation. Maybe now you remember what the sensation is like and in which part of your body. So that is what we call a barometer. It's a Dutch expression to use it like this. I don't know if people say it in English. But it's like your warning system. But warning is only about the bad stuff, but this can also be the good stuff, that you meet someone and you get this certain sensation, okay, this person is really a good person. It's a good person for me. It's a nice person, it's a kind person, is the kind of person I really want to be, or this could be the right business partner or lover, or whatever it is that you feel. And when we pay more attention to the signals we get, then we know if you are in the right place or not. Then we know if you are on the right path or not, going the right direction or not, being around the right people or not. And often we think that, oh, but now we're going the wrong direction because in the past, blah, 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 blah. And I experienced that yesterday. Yesterday, I made 2 mistakes. One was not seeing an announcement. I work part-time at the food bank here in Romania, and I do coordinate, among others, I coordinate the volunteers who go to pick up the food from a location that needs to get rid of the food because it's nearing expiration, and the volunteers or one of our drivers brings it to a location where there are poor people in need of food. And so I missed one announcement, and I confused 2 locations because the names are similar, and I'm dyslexic, and maybe because I was tired, maybe because I had a lot of things going on, so I confused the 2 names, and I actually thought that one of them didn't announce. So at a certain moment I get this message like, hey, where's the volunteers? You're gonna come because I really need to close shop now. And I'm like, what? How's that possible? But I sent that person. Oh no, wait, it's the other one. But they didn't announce. And I checked, I scrolled 3 times before I really saw it. And fuck, I screwed up. And the other one I totally didn't see, and that was in the evening when I was already on my way. I was out of the office, I was on my way to a friend. And then I get this message like, what? And I was sure that that one didn't announce because that was a location that doesn't announce daily. So I was like, huh? And so the first one, I could not find a volunteer who was who was nearby, but they were okay with us picking it up early in the morning. And then I remembered that there was one volunteer who had been unable to deliver the right quantities to a certain location because where he went to pick up there was almost nothing that day. And this resolved basically a lack of food in that location by him going this morning early to pick up that food and bring it there. So that would compensate. And the second one that I missed, there was one volunteer that I knew he could be available. And so I contacted him and he was close by, he could go pick it up. And that is also a location where we're really in need of larger quantities of food. So it was perfect in the end. The people at the locations were happy, it was resolved, they got their stuff out and the food went where it was supposed to go. And especially the last one is freeing space for today to supply a location which will not be able to be surfaced tomorrow, where Friday is generally a day where we can give them enough that will also help them through the weekend. But due to personnel issues, that will not be possible this Friday, and also Saturday, Sunday they cannot do anything. So it all comes together perfectly. My first response was, oh shit, I screwed up. But then I saw how it got resolved, and in the evening again I was like, oh no, it's my second screw up. today, and this is really not good. And yeah, I stepped out of on the wrong side of the bed this morning. But then later I realized, like, but it all makes sense. So the mind was telling me, oh, you did something wrong, and your boss will be mad at you because you messed up twice on one day. But my boss didn't see anything happening, only saw later when I sent a message like, oh yeah, that happened, and I resolved, and I was like, okay. And I didn't even tell my boss like, hey, actually, it's perfect how it went because this resolved many things. And also there was another thing with the supply I needed to get, and the guy was not answering, and it almost started to look like we paid for something and we're not going to get it, and we cannot trust this company. But I had a good vibe about the guy, and he also told me in last week that yeah, his wife was very sick and he has spent a lot of time at the hospital. And so I knew there were things going on, but I also was under pressure, like we need to deliver the products on time. So he had to deliver to us and then we could distribute. And so I started to doubt in here, but in here I felt it was okay. And then this morning I switched on my phone earlier than scheduled. And within 10 minutes I get a call from a courier like, hey, I'm in front of the office. I have products. And I'm like, oh, it will take me 15 minutes to get there. I mean, I literally just got up and asked him if he could come to my place. I don't live so far from the office. And I was like, okay. And then it was the delivery that we had been waiting for, which came perfectly in time because tomorrow is the deadline. So in the end, my intuition was right. But then things didn't go as smoothly as hoped for. But that is normal these days because nothing is going as planned. Almost nothing. Because people, we humans, are going through transformation. And when there is change, especially when there is resistance to the change, then we have trouble. So may I ask, how do I not get in trouble then? And why should I not resist? Or, yeah, but it's normal, I don't want to lose this thing. Yes. But there is a simple solution to this. Something I picked up over a decade ago, and actually 2 decades ago already. Wow, time flies when having fun. Fun with life. I heard it once somewhere, I have no clue who it was, but it just stuck with me and I felt it was the truth, at least for me, and it helped me get through so many things. So it was that everything happens for a good reason. And then at a certain moment, I added to this, everything happens to a good moment. Everything happens for a good reason, but we may not yet see what that good reason is. And so, back in the days when I first heard this, I saw something and I realized that something that had happened a decade before then had a good reason. But it took me a decade to actually see that reason. And then I started paying more attention to things. And the period of time between the moment something happens that looks like a total screw up, a lack, a destruction, a finishing of something, whatever it is, something we hate, a change. So between that moment and the moment I would see like, now I see what the good thing is that's coming out of that. That period started to shrink. from years to months, to weeks, to days. Then it went to hours, not 2 hours, but it became hours. And now it can be minutes. Not always, but I can see much faster now what good can come from this. And what helps is that I'm focused on this now. I'm open to see what are the possibilities that arise from the space created by something not coming to me or not going through. So people may see an earthquake happening, and a lot of destruction, and it's horrible. But 10 years later, if you look at where these people are, the ones who survived, assuming there were not too many deaths, and how the city looks, there's a high chance that people had to rebuild. And because they had to rebuild, they decided like, okay, I wanted to change this anyway, and that was actually not that good. And okay, if we're rebuilding now, maybe we can already dig this canal, or dig this hole, or install new sewage system, or even a metro line, because yeah, okay, the houses are gone anyway, so we can start from scratch and do things right now and upgrade. And when we look at, for example, the Fukushima incident, the tsunami that hit Japan, this has led several countries, not just Japan, to increase the transition from nuclear power, the current nuclear power, to other kinds of power. Because the way we have been using fission power, fission nuclear energy, it has as a result a lot of radioactive trash that needs to be stored somewhere, and storing is a problem. And then they can store it somewhere, and then things change underground, and then suddenly there's some water that comes there, and then things start to corrode, and then the radioactive material can get into the groundwater, and well, you get the picture. And so different countries have accelerated the transition to cleaner energy. And maybe at the beginning the transition is not so clean. But if you look back in 20 years from now, we will see that we move to some much cleaner energy with much less risks of accidents and all the stuff that comes with this. And if you look throughout history, you will see there are a lot of things that happened that were horrible, but because they happened, there were so many lessons learned from it. Like I said, I have an aviation channel, and what you see in aviation, for example, is that why is flying 1,000 times safer, or even more than 1,000 times safer than driving a car? Or even walking on the street, crossing a street. Because there have been accidents. And these accidents led to investigations. And they led to the changes of rules and manufacturing techniques. And now it is the safest way of travel. Because we do have all these backup systems. And if one thing fails, there are other things that are there to prevent an accident. So everything in the end happens for a good reason. But in the moment it happens, we don't see that. The MAX crashes, the big crisis of Boeing, that Boeing is going through now for the past few years, 346 people dying. That is because there was so much corruption, and all that corruption is coming to the surface now. So let this be an inspiration to go with the flow, to be in your body, to feel and to trust. I wish you a wonderful day. And if you have questions or you need help learning to get in the flow, please contact me. Like, subscribe, and share.